Slumpbusters, welcome into 49ers faithful and welcome in members of the Ramily. It is time for our NFC Championship breakdown. I'm your host, Juju, joined of course by Kyle Ledbetter, and joining us before this Sunday game, two top tier guests in the blue corner, flexing with his amazing setup and braving the winter elements to join us, the Sheriff, Joe Baggs. How goes it, Joe?
Doing absolutely incredible, man. Appreciate you guys reaching out and having me tonight.
Appreciate having you as well. And in the red corner, representing the Sprint Ride Option podcast, co-host of 49ers Coast to Coast, and a man that will be in Los Angeles live this Sunday, a return guest, Mr. Jason Aponte. Jason, thank you for joining us tonight ahead of your trip. Busy day, my friend, it sounds like you got.
Appreciate it though. I mean, like we were talking about earlier, it's a good kind of busy. And right now, who cannot be excited? And thank you guys for having me. It's just we're talking about the game before the game, and who's not excited about that?
Oh yeah, I'm pumped. I've been on anxiety. It's been like a caffeine shot, adrenaline shot, just waiting for this game to happen. Jason, let's get right into questions. First question out the gate, as always, when it comes to the 49ers in the 2022 season, we got to start talking about the quarterback. Kyle Shanahan has received a ton of criticism for not immediately inserting the rookie into the starting lineup or trading Jimmy prior to the season. Win or lose, has Kyle already been justified in his decision-making to stick with the veteran?
Absolutely. And we don't have to agree with it. I guess the process wasn't how we believed it would be, but the result is. If you were going to say that this team would be one game away from playing in the Super Bowl, I think they had those aspirations to begin with Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't see how, especially considering when this team was 3-5, left dead in the water by nearly everyone, including myself. You know, I might as well just own myself with that one. To be in this position, I think they absolutely did the right thing because the results are right there in front of you. They are, one game away. They're 60 minutes from winning another game to move on to the game. So I absolutely believe it's justified, even if we disagreed with it as vehemently as we did.
Joe, this question is headed over to you because we were talking about this off air a little bit, how Jay, obviously 49ers fan, he's headed over to Los Angeles. 49ers fans everywhere are headed over to Los Angeles. There's already a lot of Bay Area transplants in Los Angeles. If the Rams have to go to a silent snap count, and if this turns into a sea of red in San Francisco, does that concern you? Is that anything you're thinking about? Or is it kind of just all ships going forward? We're going to play the game regardless of who's in the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an interesting way, the way it unfolded. Week 18 was obviously very much red at SoFi Stadium, and all indications say that the percentage of 49ers fans is actually going to increase for this one. I want to say they estimated it was going to be closer to 58% 49ers fans, something like that. I'm not sure how they come up with those estimations, but yeah, chances are that there's going to be a lot of 49ers fans there. It's something that we deal with in Los Angeles. The 49ers are not the only team that do this. The Packers, the Cowboys, the Raiders, there's multiple teams that kind of take over SoFi Stadium. You can ask the Chargers as well. They have issues with it also. Just that Los Angeles fan base. I think it'll take quite a few years, a couple decades probably, for the Rams to really solidify themselves in Los Angeles and have their own fan base out there, that the Rams fans are the ones filling that stadium every time. So, you know what? I'm not necessarily concerned about it, though. I mean, it's one aspect of the game. These are two very good football teams going at it, and no matter who's on silent count, who's not, anything like that, I mean, we still got to play a football game, and whether you're on silent count or not, I mean, you can't make excuses at the end of the day. As much as it sucks to see a bunch of red in that stadium, ultimately I think it's a non-factor. You got two good football teams, and I think the Rams will be able to put it together even if they are on a silent count.
Joe, I'm going to stick with you for this question. The Rams have jumped out to multi-score leads in each of their last 3 games and have allowed comeback efforts in 2 of them. Previously, the Rams were undefeated when leading at halftime. Why are the Rams now struggling to close out games?
Yeah, I think it's McVay getting a little bit nervous, honestly. I think that in the third quarter, in those 2 games that you're referencing, which would be week 18 against the 49ers and last week in the divisional round against the Bucks, it seems like McVay has a little bit of a mindset where he's trying to not lose the game in the third quarter, and he starts running a little bit more conservative play calling. And I'm extremely nervous every single game about Raheem Morris and what he's going to do on defense. He makes me nervous. He gets really soft at times and plays that off coverage. And when you play off coverage against a team like San Fran, I mean, they've got the weapons, Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, guys that can eat that up underneath. If they're hitting those underneath routes and Jimmy can hit, a 5-yard pass like any NFL quarterback can, then you got playmakers that can bust it open. So It seems like that's kind of what's happening. Just the Rams kind of soften up. The game last week was a little bit of, in my opinion, a little bit of an anomaly. You don't really see 2 fumbles from Cam Akers, Cooper Kupp fumbles. You get the strip sack from Von Miller. You get the ball back. Everybody's excited. And the very next play, the ball shoots past Stafford. Like, I don't know. It's those kind of mistakes kind of compounded there for a little bit, but it's hard to say that that's something that's just going to be a problem. You know what I mean? So the last week, I don't know how much I really look at that as a problem or a concern, because Akers, he's just getting back into the field of playing still. So it sucks to see that, but I mean, I guess the way to put it would be to play to win the game, don't play to not lose the game. And I want to see that more from the Rams in the third quarter in this one.
Well, Joe mentioned Raheem Morris in there and the Rams defense and figuring that out. And the good news is if the game plan changes, they do have the ultimate safety blanket of Aaron Donald being maybe the greatest defensive player we've ever seen. And Jason, apparently in the last 4 games the Niners have played against the Rams, Aaron Donald has just 1 sack against the San Francisco 49ers. So I ask you, what is this 49ers offense doing to prevent Aaron Donald from getting to the quarterback and disrupting that offense, other than, of course, having the greatest left tackle in football?
Well, I was going to say this. It's more about the meme of Daniel Brunskill. Like, Daniel Brunskill literally turns into Superman when he sees Aaron Donald. And there's no way to quantify it. There's no stat behind it. I don't know what it is. He literally plays the game of his life whenever Aaron Donald is there. No, real answer, Kyle Shanahan runs the ball at him, which is, it doesn't sound like that's something you want to do. You don't want to run the ball at the guy, but you do actually. That's the way you hold back the pass rush. You keep him on his heels a little bit. So it's compounded. It's a lot of things, right? Kyle Shanahan's not going to put the game in the hand of Jimmy Garoppolo and say, hey, go target Jalen Ramsey 12 times. Hey, let's drop back a bunch of times and have Aaron Donald, wherever he is, get a shot at coming to get him. Like, the game plan has to do with, you run at Aaron Donald a little bit. You stay away from Jalen Ramsey. That's why you move Debo around, because then you can know where Jalen Ramsey is. So when he moves into the slot, he'll go that way. You'll see him there. Now you know where you can attack. Basically stay away from those studs. But in the terms of Aaron Donald, the Daniel Brunskill thing is, there's a little something to that. There really is. I really don't know how to explain it, because the man is a fine guard. He's a fine right guard. He's fine, right? That's the best way I could put it. But like, against Aaron Donald, he turns into like this all pro. And it's crazy, because Aaron Donald is legitimately one of the best players I've ever seen play. Literally a lock basically almost every single year for Defensive Player of the Year. There's no real way to quantify it, and there's no real reason behind it. It's one of the wildest concepts ever. And it's just, for whatever reason, he gets really good matchups against him, and he does well. But it's really about Kyle Shanahan negating his pass rush by just running right at him, which is actually a smart thing to do, even though that doesn't sound too smart.
Brunskill, a guy that was playing in the AAF a couple years ago and is bowling up against Aaron Donald. It's no secret that neutralizing Aaron Donald is a big part of the Niners' gain of victory, but another part of that is slowing down this Rams passing attack. The Niners, they may have a quarterback issue, but they also have a cornerback issue. Ambry Thomas is questionable with a bone bruise. Dante Johnson, Josh Norman are just questionable in ability. How did the 49ers slow down Cooper Kupp and OBJ, who's really come on strong in the last few weeks?
I think it comes with not sacrificing anything on the back end and rushing with 4. If you can get home with 4 and you can have everybody else back there, we know that the 49ers don't have secondary issues. They have cornerback depth issues. Ward and Tarter are as solid as it gets. They don't really give up plays. I know Cooper Kupp had a large play in week 18 on Jimmy Ward. That's not the norm. And that's a great play by him and a better throw by Stafford. Really just tip your cap at that point. With the cornerbacks, Ambry Thomas had the game-stealing interception. He's progressed. We'll see what his ability is like. He had a full practice today. So it sounds like he's getting closer to having full range of motion, which is why he didn't play in his pass game. But I have to say, Dante Johnson's become a bit of a punchline on 49ers Twitter. I think he did an amazing job in this Green Bay game when you consider that he had to lock up with Davante Adams. And let me break some news to some people here. Davante Adams bakes every single corner. So I don't really want to hear that about Dante Johnson, who's the 6th cornerback, and he played very admirably in that game. I mean, the 49ers do so many things schematically where they're not going to exactly bracket you, but they're not going to let you run around and do whatever exactly it is. Like, you're not going to stop Adams. You're not going to stop Kupp. There's no way to stop them. You don't stop them. You have to run up and tackle them as soon as they make their catches. No yards after catches, no big plays. That's it. There's no way to stop Cooper Kupp or Davante Adams. But in terms of the secondary, they can have all of that go away if they can get home with the 4. They don't have to blitz more people and sacrifice things on the back end. I believe the pressure rate in that week 18 game was somewhere in the 30%. look, no quarterback can survive when they're being pressured on 30% of their dropbacks. Not Tom Brady, not Aaron Rodgers, not Patrick Mahomes, not Matthew Stafford, not Jimmy Garoppolo, nobody. So if you're getting home with 4, you have your secondary that's not sacrificing anything and they're playing solidly, that's the way that you contain this Rams passing attack, because you're not going to stop them the whole game. They're going to get their plays. They have a guy with amazing arm talent. That throw that Matthew Stafford made against the Bucs to close that one out, that is one of the legit best throws I've ever seen in my time watching football. Getting crushed and throwing that over the middle like that, that's the type of arm talent that Matthew Stafford has. So you're not going to stop them. You just have to limit the big plays. You have to make sure that they don't kill you in the red zone as much, and you have to hope that you get 1 or 2 turnovers. If the 49ers don't get turnovers in this game, they're going to have a tough time winning this game, because that means they're going to have to get defensive stops and score almost every time that they have the ball. So that's going to be impactful, but I think the secondary is in a lot better shape now if they're able to just get 4 home without sacrificing anything on the back end.
Well, you mentioned the idea of getting turnovers, and that was the whole conversation coming into the playoffs, was everyone doubts the Rams because Matthew Stafford goes from being great quarterback to Matthew Gofford over and over again. But Joe, on this theme here, we've got Matthew Stafford in their 2 playoff games so far has a 70% completion percentage, 500 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 picks. I know there was like 3 fumbles in the Buccaneers game, but 0 picks from Matthew Stafford. None of them were his fault. And he's got 137 quarterback rating over those 2 games. So we talked about the 49ers defense a second ago, but if Matthew Stafford doesn't make the mistakes and the 49ers can't generate turnovers and pressure with 4, is the Rams offense just unstoppable at that point?
Well, I mean, one thing that has not yet been mentioned is the 49ers front being able to also stop the run. You know, it's the comeback of Cam Akers has been a massive addition to this Rams offense, but it's hard to run against the 49ers. I mean, we all know that it's a difficult task. So I think that ultimately there's so many parts of this Rams offense that are able to be utilized. If you look at just these last couple playoff games, the game started with going to OBJ because Kupp was being doubled. And then, you see at halftime, people kind of go away from doubling Kupp because now you're throwing to OBJ. So they also have to worry about him. So then that's when Kupp has been able to really produce. And then you got Tyler Higbee as well. Van Jefferson's not a bad player by any means. There's definitely weapons all over this place. So if Stafford can just keep doing what he's doing in the playoffs right now, it's kind of amazing. And it kind of feels like there might be a little bit of a playoff Stafford that we might be seeing, because the turnovers were becoming a concern, going into the playoffs. It's like, well, we're good, but is Stafford going to screw it up, And that's not been the case, which has been awesome. But yeah, I would say if Stafford can continue to limit those turnovers, I do think it's going to be very tough for the 49ers to win this game if Stafford can limit those turnovers. Because if you just look at the offenses alone, I mean, the 49ers clearly have some powerful weapons as well. But when they need to score really quick, that's where I don't know if I trust them. They can absolutely take those drives that are 20 plays and way too long off the clock and Stafford sitting on the sideline, but if they can't generate those turnovers, I think it will be pretty difficult for the 49ers to pull this one out. So a lot is on Stafford for this one.
My next question for you, Joe, is going to be about your guys' interior offensive line. Austin Corbett, David Edwards, they struggled in the Buccaneers game, allowing a multitude of pressures in week 18. Jason alluded to it, but 15 combined pressures between the two. The 49ers have 10 sacks in their last 2 games. How do the Rams stay on schedule offensively if this problem persists into Sunday?
It'll have to be to do what McVay wants to do, which is get the ground game going early and then run those play actions off of it, because that definitely slows down that pass rush. When we saw it last week, there was a play where we had somebody come in motion across, and then at the snap, I want to say that was Van Jefferson coming in motion across, and then at the snap, OBJ went behind the line the opposite way. And that's just a lot of people to keep your eyes on as a defensive front. And that was a run play that ended up being a good, I want to say it was a 13-yard run by Cam Akers to the left side. And also Kupp had an amazing block on that one. So I think the run game is going to be huge for the Rams. If the Rams can get that run game going early, that can slow down that pass rush, just because we can get that misdirection going for sure. But that interior line is, I don't know if I would call it weak, but it is the weakest part of the Rams offensive line. I would say personally, though, I think that Coleman Shelton is a better center than Brian Allen, but I also don't make any of those decisions. Brian Allen is the starter, and as long as that's the case, then hey, I hope he does awesome. But that interior is a little bit of a concern, but again, just got to get that play action going. And if they don't think that you're going to run, the play action is not going to work. So that's going to be a big part of it early.
Jason, the last question I've got for you concerns Trent Williams, who I have said earlier and will still reiterate, the best left tackle in the NFL for like a decade. And we just kind of ignored him because he was in Washington for all these years. But he is battling an injury. He's been on the injury report all week. Whether he's 75 or 80% healthy and assuming he goes in this game, does that change your game plan at all, knowing that the Rams have been really successful rushing with 4 and kind of the crux of that 49ers offensive line has been behind Trent Williams' play this year?
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, Trent Williams is the best in the world, and he's the best player on the 49ers. And in a perfect world, he would get votes for Offensive Player of the Year because that's how good he is. But that's not a perfect world that we live in, right? Linemen don't get love. The thing is that he didn't play in Week 18. Colin McKivitz did at left tackle. The first time that he's ever taken snaps at left tackle. But I will say this, Von Miller wasn't heating up the way that he has these last few games. And that concerns me a little bit more this time. And why I would love for 75%, 80% Trent Williams to play, because I think it is a little bit foolish to just say, oh, we'll just throw McKivitz back in there. He's got it. No. I think that, first of all, when we as 49ers fans found out that it wasn't Jalen Moore first off the bench and it was going to be Colin McKivitz because Trent Williams was game time decision, we all said, what? The guy's never played there. This is going to be a problem. Well, it wasn't a problem that week. That doesn't mean that it's not going to be a problem this week. So, yes, going into the most important game of the season, I would like to see the best left tackle in the world in whatever capacity go out there and give it a shot. Colin McKivitz played fine, but Von Miller's heating up right now. And that's the thing. To look at that matchup and just say, oh, you could just duplicate that again, I would think would be foolish, because I don't think this game goes anywhere near the way that it went in Week 18 either, right? The Rams jumped out to a big lead. This game is going to be tooth and nail back and forth this entire time, like this whole game. Like, it's not going to get 17-0 on either end, either way, because the 49ers came out flat. The Rams scripted plays were on point. They were, the Higbee touchdown, they were just moving the ball at will. DeMeco Ryans made adjustments. The offense made adjustments. They scored after half, and then things kind of flipped. I don't see that going this way. This game's going to be much closer. So those pass rushing reps, those pass blocking reps become more valuable in a game that's going to be much closer, right? And the 49ers had to basically claw themselves back into that game. I just don't see that happening. So yes, Trent Williams needs to be in this game. I'm going to say on Thursday, probably cold take myself right now, I think he's going to play, but he didn't practice today. And I would be lying if I didn't say I was concerned. I was concerned about it. I wasn't concerned. I'm concerned. I'm very concerned. So it's just foolish to just say, hey, man, Colin McKivitz got it. Von Miller's playing a little bit different right now. Like, maybe he's turning it. Like, you mentioned playoff Matthew Stafford. What if there's playoff Von Miller? I've seen him, will teams to win championships. Like, literally, Peyton Manning didn't throw a touchdown pass that entire postseason. And guess what? They won the Super Bowl. So, I know that that's not the same guy, but all he has to do is heat up for 2 more games. He doesn't have to be that same guy for 12 games. So, yeah, I would love to see Trent play.
Gentlemen, it is time to put our stamp on this game, to put our predictions on the line. So, Jason, I'm looking at you first for this one. You said it on your Twitter yourself that you are tired of being humble. What is your prediction for the 49ers heading into Los Angeles?
And when I say that, I just mean I always try to be objective. Sometimes I talk myself into losses because I don't want to be a homer. And I say, man, they do this well. You know what? It's win or go home time. So it's not even time to mess around with that. I'm not going to be out here predicting the 49ers loss at this point. I got a 28-21. This is going to be a game where either the 49ers have to have a stand at the end of the game or they have to go down and win it. I just think that Jimmy Garoppolo we talked about it, right? He's played the way that he's played. That's the best way I could put it. He's played the way that he's played the last 2 weeks. It's kind of due for a little bit of a good game. And what I mean by good game is 200 yards, a touchdown, and no interceptions. No one's asking anything of Jimmy Garoppolo other than don't turn the ball over. Like, when you guys mentioned Matthew Stafford now with turnovers, the 49ers would kill for a clean game from Jimmy Garoppolo, would kill for that, right? And if the 49ers are not giving the ball away, they become increasingly difficult to beat because that's the only way that they really have put themselves in a bind or a hole. And if he's able to just operate the offense, make sure he converts those third downs, and those longer drives, I think that the 49ers are going to have a script to come out this time. They're not going to come out as flat on offense and defense, but this is going to be a dogfight all the way to the end. I mean, this is going to be the third time, so I'm not predicting any sort of blowout, anything like that. I've got a 28-21 in a classic game to put the 49ers back in the Super Bowl.
Kyle Ledbetter, as the most neutral party on this podcast, I need you to give your prediction as we head into Sunday.
You know, I had said in week 18 when Kyle Shanahan overcame the 17-point deficit in the second half for the first time in the history of the McVay era, that he blew a second half lead. I was kind of just saying I don't really understand how that works, but it does. I wish someone could better explain what the matchup actually does that the 49ers beat the Rams all the time. Not preparing that I'd have to actually discuss them playing again in the playoffs, and then I would have to put my money where my mouth was on that. I'm tempted to pick the 49ers despite the fact that the Rams are a better team. The Rams, you would look on paper and say they're a better matchup, but the 49ers match up really well against them over the past two seasons. Both teams are going to try and control time of possession, and so I think that possessions are going to be limited in this game, which means once teams get into the red zone, it's going to be really interesting to see what the strategy is, because both these teams are great on defense once teams get into the red zone this year. And so I think touchdowns are going to be at a premium in this game. I think the score is probably going to hang around the 20-16 or 23-17 range. Both teams are going to be kicking some field goals, and possessions aren't going to be as plentiful in this game. So for that reason, I think it'll come down to the wire, at least on the scoreboard. It might feel like the Rams are winning most of the way, or the 49ers get a turnover and they'll jump ahead a little bit. This is close to a coin toss game for me, but I'm going to take the Rams to win. I usually don't do score predictions for these types of late games because it's kind of meaningless, but I'll throw out either 20-16 or 23-16. Garoppolo's going to have the ball at the end of the game, needing to score a touchdown, and it will probably not happen. So that is my bet at the end of that game. I'll take the Rams to win somewhere between like 4 and 7 points, something like that. And the Rams are going back to the Super Bowl with an entirely different team from the team that went there 3 years ago. All
righty, Sheriff. I know where you're probably going to go with this one, but answer me, whose house is it this coming Sunday?
Rams house. All right. So, I mean, this there's a lot that goes into it from the Rams side. This game is kind of twofold from the Rams perspective. The first part of that is our perspective of, we just knocked out Tom Brady, so we're feeling pretty good. You know, when you knock out the reigning defending champion Tom Brady at his house, you automatically feel pretty confident moving forward. All right. But this is a team that has beaten the Rams in 6 straight meetings. The last time that the Rams did beat the 49ers, it was the 2018 season. That season worked out mostly to the end. But really what we're looking at here is we come to SoFi against a team that's beaten us 6 straight times, and they are the only team standing in our way of playing a home game at our own stadium in the Super Bowl. Even though NFC is the road team, it's our house, you know. And on the flip side of that, the second aspect of that is you are now the only team standing in the way of your biggest division rival from playing a Super Bowl at your house. Something about that just tells me this Rams team is going to be absolutely fired up. Some of the quotes that we're seeing from guys like Von Miller, how when he showed up, he was watching the replays of the divisional game last year against the Packers, and the look on Aaron Donald's face. He showed up and he said, hey, man, I'm going to do everything in my power to get you a championship. And now we're 1 win away from getting into that game. And when you have Von Miller saying that stuff to Aaron Donald, makes me feel pretty good about it. All right. These 49ers are one heck of a football team. I actually don't think that they get enough credit myself. I think that everybody kind of looks at the 49ers being the 6th seed and they're like, you know what? 6th seed, they were 3rd place in the division, like whatever. Jimmy Garoppolo's their quarterback, and I just don't think they're getting enough credit. And to kind of comment on what you said there about the 49ers and what they do against the Rams, they punch the Rams in the mouth for 60 straight minutes. That's what they do. And are the Rams going to punch back? And that's the big question. That's what we did in the beginning of that first game, and then let up a little bit. So I want to see that for full 60 minutes. I think that this Rams team can absolutely get fired up for this one. I like the stars that we have. Everybody's focused in right now. Jalen, Vaughn, Aaron Donald, everybody is just so focused on getting this win, moving on, playing at SoFi Stadium in a couple weeks. I'm going to go ahead and say that the Rams win this one 27-17. I do think it'll be a pretty tight game, but I do think that there will be some fourth quarter turnovers, which we all know that Jimmy Garoppolo is more than capable of, that will give that little bit of a separation.
And it turns to me, and I'm going to split it at a 2-2 tie. I'm a superstitious sports fan at nature. That's why I'm wearing this outfit once again. And that's why the 49ers are going to win this coming Sunday. I believe at the core that Jimmy Garoppolo is a winner. And I believe this fourth quarter, he is due. He is due, like Jason said. I'm going to be a little bit bolder. I'm going to say this is going to be his first multi-touchdown day of the playoffs. That is what I will say about Jimmy Garoppolo this coming Sunday. I don't know who's going to step up mostly as a pass catcher. I know the last 2 interceptions in that Rams game came when targeting George Kittle. I think George is actually going to be more of a factor this coming game. And that's what I think is going to be a big difference maker. There's no way that the Rams just jump out to immediately. And I think this is going to be similar to the first Monday Night Football game where the Niners got the ball first. They controlled the clock. They came out with a first possession that just shook the Rams at their core. And I'm going to use this analogy once again, because again, superstitious sports fan here. If they are going down, I'm going down with the ship. I am riding that Titanic to the very end because at my core, I'm a 49ers faithful. But all righty, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. It is time for the shameless plugs. Joe, tell us all about Ram Showcase. Tell us all about your projects. What do we need to know about you, man?
Yeah, Ram Showcase is the podcast that I host. I write, edit, produce everything. It's a one-man show. It's almost 6 years old. So we'll go into our first grade year this following season, turn 6 on March 15th. It's at Ram Showcase on Instagram, Twitter, everything like that. YouTube is where the most attention goes right now. So search Ram Showcase on YouTube. You can follow myself, though, as well. I am at Sheriff Joe Bags just about everywhere. Thank you guys again for having me. I do appreciate it.
Jason, as you close in on 10,000 followers on Twitter, people need to know that social handle. People need to know about your YouTube channel. What projects do you got, my friend?
Appreciate you guys for having me again. Joe, it was very nice to meet you too, man. I thought this was a great back and forth. By the way, it's really good to bounce ideas off of an opponent, especially in a game this big. And, you know, you made some great points, and I'll definitely be tapping in with you, bro. And, you know, we'll talk after the game. Maybe I'll send you a message or whatever. I'll be in SoFi, so we'll talk about it. But at Jason Aponte 2103 on Twitter, close to 10,000. You guys can help me out. That'll be pretty cool. But on YouTube, Jason Aponte, and Instagram, JAY Aponte 2103. Today, I tried to cram in all of the content that I could because I'm flying out early morning from New Jersey over to LA. So did Grant Cohn's show today, got Sprint Right Option podcast tonight right after this. Don't miss that. And just tapping on the YouTube, just did an interview with Boobie Dixon, 49ers legend, State of the Franchise with Brad Graham, me and Leo Luna do barbershop talk. So all throughout the week, we're going to have content for you. And then also tap in because I will be at the Senior Bowl as well too. And I'll be giving you guys a bunch of guys that the 49ers should be targeting with their second round pick because they don't have a first round pick, which can only, the best it could be is 29 right now. So, you know, everybody was talking about that draft pick. Hey, 29? That's kind of where you wanted it to be, right? You thought that's how it would be. But appreciate you fellas for having me on again, and appreciate the conversation with Joe, man. This was a lot of fun. And it's good to be talking about our teams in January with a chance to play in February, especially if you know the 49ers journey. I don't think any one of us, and we're faithful, any one of us could have seen this coming.
That's why I couldn't imagine how it'd be to be a Lions fan. But all right, guys, be sure to hit that subscribe button as we're pushing towards 2,000 subscribers ourselves. 10 away there. 10. Hit that subscribe button, guys. Leave a like on this video. Comment below whether it's going to be Rams house, whether the faithful are going to run wild in SoFi. I got to know your answers. From Juju Talk Sports, Kyle Ledbetter, Joe Branham, Jason Aponte, we will see you next time.